Hi, everyone. This is Norman Koshnick, who hasn't shaven yet. He has this shaver sitting here, which he's going to try and... I'm not sure it'll work. I bought it today. We'll see how... The shaver that would work. We'll see how it goes. I bought that today, hoping that it would work. So yeah, I may shave through the show. We'll see how we go. But I'm here to talk about a few topics. You may have already seen the topics I'm talking about. I've put on my my so-called about future coaches, quite frankly, team selections, thoughts from the fans. You have a problem sleeping tonight, Norman? Is that right? Yes, Munchie. Well, I do a little bit. I was gallivanting around. I bought myself a shaver. I have this great shaver, but it's supposed to be somehow working. Then I got buttons. I haven't worked out. There's a button I'm supposed to be pressing. Nothing's happening. It's not going to zzz. So I haven't worked it out yet, but it's going to be there. It's going to be a nice bold shave. I'll probably have it if it works. Bottom line, I'll have it working. So I thought I'd come out. I've noticed that Vikrant Gupta, my good friend Vikrant Gupta, is actually talking about the doubts over cricket in Pakistan after New Zealand. Doubts over cricket in Pakistan after New Zealand, England to review security in Pakistan. So there's some doubts whether they'll be playing cricket there. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about. I also wanted to talk about shave it off on me. I will, no, John. Give me a chance. Do you think David Warner is eligible for playing tests anymore? He'll play. He'll play. Please tell. I think he will, but he won't captain us for sure. Okay, so we're going to talk about team selections, both the England team selection squad for the last 3 test matches, the Australian squad for the World Cup, with the inclusion of Josh Inglis, which we'll talk about. Also, thoughts from our audience, which I always get anyway. Future coach or future coaches, with George Bailey now they're calling him the chair of selectors, as opposed to chairperson or chairman. Chair of selectors, I don't get that. What I'm sitting on is the chair. Okay, you can chair a meeting, which is more of I chair the meeting is what I do. It's a do word. But to be chair, it should be chairman or chairperson. Chair something. It's not just chair of the committee. I don't get that. That's what they're calling him. So the selection Australian squad, who is the next Indian coach? Well, quite frankly, who is the next Australian coach too, even though Justin Langer's been talking about that. So there's quite a few aspects of what I can discuss today. I haven't invited anyone to join me yet because I did this very impromptu. Munchie, if you want a battery, yeah, I charged the bloody battery up, and this damn thing. This is this button. You press the bottom, and nothing's happening. So I don't quite know. I've got to get. The instructions are crap. Anyway, I'll have to work it out. I will pay for your barber fees, but that's the point, Marty John. Don't you understand? Because of lockdown, there are no barbers. T20 squad is nice. Well, what does nice mean? I want it to be successful. Greetings, almost as quick legends. Don't shave it. Keep it like Modi, Indian Prime Minister. Okay, well, I'm not the Indian Prime. Is Pakistan cricket related to Taliban back in the controlling? I'd say that would have to be definitely one of the major reasons. Absolutely. What do you think will going to play World Cup? Yeah, I think they will. They will. I don't think the Taliban people stop them. I know what that means. Where is Sean Marsh and Travis Head? Well, Sean Marsh is retired as far as Travis Head. He's not retired, but he's out on the outer. I'm still shocked about Matthew Wade. We'll talk about that. We'll go through the Australian side, a bit more about the England side, the Indian coach and the Australian coaches. They're the 4 things I want to talk about, and obviously the Test series as well. How do you like? What was it? The question was, how do you like the Taliban's in action? Okay, I don't know. What do you think will buy a new trim? I just bought a new. This is a new one. This is a bloody new one. It arrived today in the express courier mail. Time in Sydney. Quick, let's get one of those world clocks, would you? It's now 1:19 a.m. I woke up. Yes, okay. I didn't go to sleep. Didn't get your question. Okay. Manager, I'd prefer to keep cricket commentary. I'd probably upset someone with political views. Yes, Munchie, let's not go there. All right. So, as my heading suggested, as you all saw, we talked about the so-called, okay, the Australian squad. Let's go through that squad in a bit of detail now, shall we? Shall we start with the Australian squad? We'll start with the Australian squad because I think that's probably the most pertinent one at the moment. Let me have a look here. Google, here we go. I'm just going to pull the quick info. The reality is I did spend a bit of time on this. The Australian squad, let me have a look. Okay, so it's Australia's, oh God, these damn things was, okay. Australia's best are back, but will it be enough for a title tilt is the heading. Australia's best are back. Inglis called up, key names return in Australia T20 squad. Yeah, Moses Henriques was not there. I kind of would have liked him to be there. Dan Christian is a reserve rather than a main player. That's probably two things that I'm concerned about. I would like to see Dan Christian in there, but Josh English, it is Josh English, I keep getting his name. Let's have a look at the team. Josh English is certainly a player to watch. Mitchell Swepson, yeah. I'm not sure. I think that I would have had Dan Christian in the side of the person. So let's have a look at the squad. Aaron Finch is captain. Clap. David Warner's in there for his batting, except that Steve Smith's got over a finger injury. Well, I thought he wasn't playing at all, but he's there, which I think is good. Glenn Maxwell, certainly major importance. Mitchell Marsh, yeah, he played well enough in the West Indies and Bangladesh to get there. I don't think he should be first drop though, but he's should be in the side. Matthew Wade, absolute mistake, horrific mistake. If Josh English was there, he should be there, and I think Alex Carey should be there, and Matthew Wade shouldn't be. That was my thoughts. Ashton Agar, yeah, except him. Pat Cummings, Mitchell Stark, yeah. Kane Richardson, yeah, he's good. Adam Zampa's good. Josh Hazelwood, well, a bit raw with the T20 format, to be honest. Marcus Jonas had to be back in there. Mitchell Swepson, I'm not impressed by, and Josh Inglis. So the two players that are standouts that I'm not happy with are Mitchell Swepson and Matthew Wade. I wouldn't have had either of those in the side, to be honest. I would have had Dan Christian in the squad, and I would have had Alex Carey. Yeah, that were my thoughts at this point. What are your thoughts, guys? Jai Richardson's also there. No, his name's not there, surprisingly enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15. His name's not there. Now, that's interesting. He may be one of the reserve players that are coming into play. Look at Australia's middle order debate. Strike race by batting position. Steve Smith, Mitchell Marsh, Glenn, and actual Matthew Wade and Marcus Jonas. Yeah, Dan Christian and Daniel Sams are the reserves. I would have had them both in the squad. They're probably better. Jai Richardson, I thought he was in the squad, but I don't know what's happened to his name. He's not there at the moment. I'm a bit perplexed. I thought he was there, but he's not. So, yeah. So, Munchie, before you take all the discussions away from the main commentary, yeah, Munchie, can you come on live? Munchie, can you come? Oh, Munchie, tell me yes or no. Can you come on live? You have a call in 5 minutes. Well, after that, we'll get you on. After you've had your call. How about that? Where's Richard? I should ask. I'll get a few people. Invite a guest. It's a bit of a pain to try and invite people. But I will do. Burn around. I'll just see it. Who else have we got here? Gil, I'm going to invite Gil. I've invited nobody at this stage, guys. I'm just going to see who else we got. I'm going to invite David. David Gray should be able to just put it in. Let's see. Let's do that. Looking for Richard. Give me a sec, guys. Gargi Wankar, if you're there, I want you on, but she never comes on anymore. I mean, people are going to be available, though. Of course, it's another thing. So, let me have a look. Richard Vernon, there he is. There's Siddharth. I've got this way of, bringing people on. It's this little link and share. This is Munchie, I'm gonna invite Joe Biden on, you reckon? For Marcus, for a person, Mr. Munchie, for a person that can't be on, you're on a lot. Okay, we'll see. I'm not really one. Okay, so do you want me to go through the music country? Also, touring parties won't feel comfortable going to Pakistan anymore, as they will always be safety concerns. Look, they will be. They'll be huge. It's been very detrimental to Pakistan and Afghanistan. Good on you, Ankit Vishwakaran. Look, let's see. Daniel Sams, Dan Christian should have been there. Okay, let's go through the side again. Let's just go through the side again. I mean, the presence of Warner, Smith, Maxwell, Stoinis, and Kane Richardson gave the squad a familiar feel about it. Of course, they're all IPL players as well. Josh Inglis has been jettisoned into the 15-man squad ahead of Alex Carey and Josh Philippe as the backup wicketkeeper and spare batter on the back of his stellar middle order form in the BBL and T20 Blast dominance. After the other two failed to take the opportunities, Carey in some ways has been a victim of team success during 1920. He played 6 consecutive games without batting during Australia's winning run. Then his form dipped. Matthew Wade usurped him in the T20 international side, and now Inglis have taken his spot as a reserve wicket. Carrick has been unable to translate his excellent ODI form and strong bigger numbers into the T20I series. Well, maybe, but I don't think Matthew Wade's the answer at all. When you say Matthew Wade's usurped him, I don't agree with that. That's a bit of a strange statement, if you ask me. So, yeah, again, the squad's Aaron Finch, Warner, Smith wasn't even going to play. He was only going to play the IPL and go straight to the Ashes, but he's playing now. He's got an injured finger. Maxwell, Mitchell Marsh is, I guess, by default, his performances has to be put in. Matthew Wade, totally against. Ashton Agar, yes. Pat Cummins, yes. Mitchell Stark, yes. Kane Richardson, yes. I would have said Tig, and Ty. I thought he was good. Zampa, definitely. Josh Hazlewood, still pretty raw to the T20 format. Marcus Thomas, in his best form, is obviously worth having. Mitchell Swepson, no. Josh Inglis, absolutely yes. Dan Christian should be there. They're calling them travelling reserves, which means they're effectively in the squad. I don't comprehend why you would say them as a travelling reserve. What the hell's that? They're in the squad. Dan Christian, Nathan Ellis, Daniel Sams. Those three, to me, Mitchell Swepson out, Dan Christian in, Daniel Sams in, possibly Hazlewood out, and Nathan Ellis also. I got my doubts about that. What do you guys think? Do you think you're angry? Rathman here is a passionate team against Chelsea on the issue. Still stuff is dope. What the hell is that? No, I'm not sure what dope means. Oh, this was today. I thought tomorrow. Hello. Well, are you on or not? Agree. Okay. Well, Ash will make a difference in the third test. What do you think? Well, Akash Bhaskaran, he will not be playing. Okay? He will not be playing. Okay, let's stick to one thing at a time. Australian team we've talked about. Any questions about that? Again, Aaron Finch, Dave Warner, Steve Smith, Glenn Maxwell, Mitchell Marsh, Matthew Wade, Ashton Agar, Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, and Kane Richardson. That's 10. Adam Zampa, Josh Hazlewood, Mark Stoinis, Mitchell Swepson, and Josh Inglis is the 15. So I thought the other Richardson was in there too, but he's not. But Christian, Ellis, and Sams will probably get a Guernsey, to be honest with you. If I'm being really honest with you. Ashton won't play. So that's okay. That's the Australian side. Now, the England squad, which has been announced, we'll have a look at that. And really, the only major change effectively is really the major change would have to be Darwin Malan, and he is excellent, and I think that'll be a very important change for him. I like the photo they got here on, actually, the photos. So Darwin Malan's come in, and Dom Sibley is out. Zach Crawley has also been admitted. Hasib Hamid is probably going to open with Rory Burns. Ollie Pope is also named in the squad and could return in the middle order. But at this point in time, I would argue that Dawood Malan is number 3 for the next test. Despite suffering a shoulder injury during the second test, Mark Wood is named in the squad. The England medical team will continue to work with him and say they expect him to be fit to play. Well, we'll see. Chris Wokes, who has a heel injury, is not yet fit for a recall. So Chris Wokes has a heel injury and is not yet fit for a recall. Saki Mahmood, therefore, has a decent chance of making a test debut. So there's a very good chance that Anderson, Wood, and Mahmood might be in the side if Wood's not there. And Ollie Robinson probably will be there as well. With Moeen Ali having returned to the side at Lords, there is no place for either Jack Leach or Dominic Bess in the squad. So Leach, however, remains on standby for Moeen if necessary. Okay, so England's squad for the third test versus India are Root, Moeen Ali, James Anderson, Johnny Bairstow, Rory Burns, Josh Butler, Sam Curran, Hasib Hamid, Dan Lawrence, Saki Mahmood, Dawood Malan, Craig Overton, Ollie Pope, Ollie Robinson, and Mark Wood. So I would say out of that, Lawrence, Overton won't be playing. Need to get rid of 3 more, 12, 13, 2 more. So Overton, I don't think Pope's ready to come back in. So Overton, Pope, and Lawrence, with the 4th player going to be either Saki Mahmood or Wood, depending on how the injuries work out. That's a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good squad. Okay, so we've knocked off Australia. We've knocked off a discussion around England. Indian side we'll get to, but quite frankly, they've got their squad, which is for the entire tour because they're on tour, so the squad's not going to change. We know that Prithvi Shaw and Sky Yadav have come into contention, but it'll still be, there's not going to be a change to the batting lineup. Rahul will still continue with, obviously, Rohit Sharma, who both did very, very well. First drop will be Pujara. He did well in the second innings. Kohli, captain brilliantly. Rahane at 5. Punt at 6 with Jadeja at 7. Ashwin is still on the outer for this test. Will be there for the 4th test. And then you'll have the bowling of Siraj, Shami, Bumrah, and Ishant Sharma, unless they consider Shardul Thakur to come in. So that's that squad. But then we're going to get to the captaincies now. I know that Brahma Arani Rahul Dravid will not be next coach for India. So who now? Okay, it's a great question. The reality is that Rahul Dravid has made it pretty clear, and by way of a statement, that he is applying for the job of the NCA, the National Cricket Academy, which is effectively like Australia's cricket, the excellence squad. What do they call it? The centre of excellence or centre of expertise. They're usually one of the ones that we talk about in that framework. And Brahmarani is presenting this. So Rahul Dravid applies for the post of head of the NCA, the National Cricket Academy. Puts an end to the speculation about replacing Ravi Shastri in November, which is when the contract of Ravi Shastri ends. And it appears, extra time, of course, with someone, my learned friend Abhas Sen and I have talked about it today, and Baramarani, it looks as though Ravi Shastri is not wanting to continue post-November, which means you'll have a different coach in place for South Africa. Maybe the November Test Series against New Zealand, maybe the last hurrah for Ravi Shastri, which is great. He'll be there for the World Cup as well, and he's done a stellar job. I like to see him continue for a while. But if it's not going to be Rahul Dravid, if he's going to be the National Cricket Academy head and still be involved with India A and the like, who's going to be the coach of India? Will it be one of the existing support staff that Ravi Shastri has got? Or will it be someone totally outside of that? Or will it be someone outside of India? Or will it be someone within India? I hope it's someone within India. I mean, to me, it's a good question. It's a very hard one to know exactly who you would pick, but VVS Laxman, maybe one of Rahul Dravid's mates. So should Ollie Pope play the third test? I don't think so. I don't think he's done enough to prove himself, to be honest with you. So Rahul Dravid's position of coach, applying for the National Crime Authority, leaves a fair bigger bit of a gap there, doesn't it? So we want to speculate. Mike Hesson could be the next head coach. Well, he was obviously a New Zealand head coach. Virender Sehwag, did you say, was one who had applied last time? Virender Sehwag, I'll tell you what, if he was selected, he'll have punt opening the batting, because Rishabh Pant's about as close a spitting image of Virender Sehwag as you can get. That'd be quite funny, in a way. But yeah, that's a possibility. And then there's, of course, the discussion about another coach, Justin Langer, who has been given the endorsement of the support of Nick Hockley, the CEO, the fully positioned CEO of Cricket Australia. And his contract's to finish mid next year, and his contract will be honoured and he will play on. And there's no speculation as far as Nick Hockley is concerned, other than the fact that Langer is committed to being the coach for the World Cup, the Test series with Afghanistan, and the Ashes against England, and then whatever series is end up in the early part of next year, into the middle of next year, and then we'll see. Yeah, Sibley was beautiful drawing. Sibley was terrible. He doesn't know how to score runs after being set. Yeah, I think that even the way he walked to the film and was dismissed was quite abhorrent. It's a good question. Sorry, what's a good question? Sorry, to put up. Taliban attacked Afghanistan. Taliban, Rashid Khan, Nabi, Shahzad, Sedran, Ashgar, Afghan, Mujib, they are safe. Well, at this point, I believe they're all safe. Yeah, I think they've been, I don't even think they were in the country. I think they've actually based themselves in either the UAE or England, to be honest with you. I don't think they're there. I'm pretty sure they're not there. Anil Kumble should be back as coach. We're going through all these past cricketers, are we? Is that what we're going to do? They're going to play with. Virender Sehwag can apply for it. I would like to see. I mean, you know who I'd like to be the coach? MS Dhoni. To me, that would be an excellent coach. He has the room. He has a great head. He's pretty easy to get along with, and he knows what he's talking about. That's for sure. I'd consider him, actually. But wait and see. November's still 2-3 months away, so effectively that's not really at hand at the moment at all. Mike Heston's applied for if he applies, will be the most likely to be head coach. Look, I don't think India, in my opinion, should be getting a coach from overseas anymore. They've got enough good coaches within their own country. They've got a team that's playing exceptionally well. They don't desperately need an international influence on their side at all, to be honest with you. I don't think that's the case at all. I think the opposite. Look, Ravi Shashi's done a fantastic job. Kohli has appreciated his presence. What about a Gavaskar or a Dhoni, or even, I don't know, Cavalier's probably not really wanting to, who knows, but get an Indian person in there to take on that job. So, what do you think, according to you, who will win the 2020 World Cup, please tell? Well, there's no doubt that India, England, and West Indies are three of the favoured sides based on form, the composition of their teams and their squads, the IPL influence, the CPL influence, the English 100 and what have you. They're three very strong competitions. I would have included the BBL there with the Australian team, but they look okay on paper now. They've got a few of their players back, but there's something about the harmony of the side that's missing. I don't think they're going to be that good. I don't think they're really. No. I think it'll be straight. So India and England definitely with the West Indies. This is in the semi-finals. And the fourth semi-finalist is going to be between Pakistan and New Zealand. South Africa, I don't think so. Australia, I'm pretty sure not. Bangladesh and the like, no. So, yeah, it doesn't leave it. I would love to see Dravid as the next head coach. So would I. But I have my doubts to how he will tackle ultra-aggressive captain like Kohli, because Dravid's doing. Yeah, but that's, when are you going to discuss the IPL? Well, the IPL, we're going to put that to one side for them, because the IPL, let's get through more of the tests. We've still got 3 tests to go. Maybe when we get to the 5th test, we'll talk more about the IPL, as we'll be aware of what's going on then. So let's leave it. Dhoni himself won't come. Okay, Master, you don't think so? Team Black Caps, they should be in the 4, other than Pakistan or them. Well, that's an interesting combination. So Curtly Ambrose will be interesting. I don't think he will. And Ponting, yeah, why are we getting overseas coaches to coach India? We don't need that anymore. India have proven time and time again they've got the capability right there in front of them to be to be that role. Can you tell me why Alex Carey's dropped and Matthew Wade is like, well, I've just read out something a minute ago, and I'll do that again if you want. There was discussion about that. We'll go back to the ESPN quick info. Let's have a look. I think this was a very worthy discussion that they had. Australia's best up back, but will that be enough for title? I don't think so. So what they've said is the recent results raise a broader question about Australian cricket that runs beyond the current coach. Australia's lack of T20 depth compared to England's almost unlimited supply of high-quality T20 players puts the BBL firmly into focus in terms of the league's inability to produce ready-made international players, with the gap between T20I and BBL quite severe. Okay, so Josh Inglis has been jettisoned into the 15, so he's been thrown high into this 15, ahead of Alex Carey and Josh Philippe, who are both on tour of West Indies and Bangladesh. Feel sorry with Josh Philippe because I think he's good quality, but Alex Carey, he seems to be the ODI man and not the T20 man for some reason. So this position of backup keeper and spare batter on the back of his stellar middle order form in the BBL and the T20 Blast dominance after the other two failed to take their opportunities. So they both failed to take opportunities on the recent tours of Bangladesh and West Indies. Carey in some ways has been a victim of team success during the 1920 period. He played 6 consecutive games without batting during Australia's winning run. So his lack of batting form there shows. Then his form dipped as the team dipped. Matthew Wade has usurped in the T20 international side, and now Inglis has taken his spot as the reserve wicketkeeper. Carey has been able to translate his excellent ODI form and strong BBL numbers into the T20I success. So when they say Matthew Wade has usurped him in the side, I don't know how, because his form has been awful as well. Yeah, he uses Wade's name, but no, he's keeping his. I don't think so. India could be leading 2-0 without Root. Well, absolutely. They would have won the first test and therefore, and obviously won the second. I think the winners will be unstoppable if the legends take the role of the coaching staff. What do you think, Noel? Yes. They're going to be pretty bloody hard to beat. Okay, I can't read that. So Rick text there. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, the World Cup is again, and I'll repeat this again, India certainly, because of their depth of players, their IPL form, their overall form, they've been exceptional. England as well. Samar Ghosh, where are you from? I'm from Coogee Beach, Sydney, Australia. So Samar Ghosh, have you subscribed? Has everyone subscribed that's online? Go and subscribe and support me so I can be able to provide that information. What player in short, the T20 Cup. They won the World Test Championship in a Test match form, but in T20 they're not quite as strong, and they've been playing in the UAE, which won't suit their bowlers at all. Well, Bhuvi Kumar would have been selected, but his fitness was under a cloud. That's why he's not there. So that's Indian bowlers now have gone so well. Siraj has been fantastic. Bumrah's been fantastic. Sharmi's been fantastic. Bat and ball. And you have to include Ishan Sharma, who's done very admirably. So there's really a glut. They've got Umesh Yadav in the background. Bhuvi Kumar would have done well, yes. Really, India are 1-0 up now with 3 tests to go. They win one more. Well, they're not going to lose it, the series, are they? There's going to be at least 2 or at the worst. So that's a great sign for India for sure. So don't forget, guys, I've been very impromptu with my starting times today, which is very, very late. So I've got Dravid, Malan, George Bailey, and myself there. So there we go. I like it. But George Bailey, he's the new chairperson or chairman of selectors of Australian Cricket Australia. I would Priyanshu Sinha. Yes, it is Santa Claus. You want a Christmas present early? I'll give you one. Yeah, George Bailey taken over from Trevor Holmes as the. Oh, we've got Siddharth. Can you tell me how to work? I bought this bloody shaver today.
Hey, Norman. Hi, how are you?
Good. I bought the shaver today, and I'm trying to work out how to bloody use the stupid thing, and I don't know how to use it. It got all hot before, but it didn't turn on. There's these things which look like buttons here. There's this thing on the bottom. I spent $100 on it. They look really good. Zoom down. I'll have to work it. So let me get a photograph of it. So how are you, Sid?
Recovering, Norman. I just had my second dose.
All right. And how was that?
I've got a headache and my body's aching, but no fever.
What was the dose? Was it Pfizer?
No, Covishield.
Well, I've got my second dose tomorrow. Actually, 11 a.m. Well, it's actually today, my time. 9 hours, I go and get my second jab. It's Pfizer. They reckon the second Pfizer, you do feel a bit ugh.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get fever, you don't get body ache. You get a bit of body ache and heaviness in the head. That's it. Otherwise, it's milder than the first dose.
Milder than the first dose? Well, I didn't feel an absolute thing on my first dose. I'm hearing Pfizer's a pretty bad second dose. All right. I was talking earlier about this.
Lucky, I felt it 102, 103 fever. Oh.
Wow. Priyanshu Sinha's being cheeky. He thought Santa lives in the northern hemisphere, but I was wrong. Oh, that's almost funny. That's almost funny. Almost funny. Okay. So, okay. So George Bailey came out with his little. George Bailey is an incredibly intelligent guy. I love him a lot. I think he's a very good selector. And they're calling him chair of selectors, not chairman or chairperson. Chair of selectors. So is he sitting on himself? He's a chair, is he now? I always thought that chair is like a verb. You chair a meeting. You're not the chair. You chair a meeting. That's what I thought. Anyway, all right. So the Australian side, have you seen it, squad?
The big guns are back. So all that talk that the Australian players, they've missed certain tours. They only play the IPL. No easy access back to the team. Nope, not working, Norman. Not at all working.
The fact is,
you need these guys.
We're desperate for them. We can't play without them. That's the problem.
Yep.
But Matthew Wade, I'm so sick of him. Josh Inglis is a great selection. I think you should put him.
Yeah, I mean, that was surprising.
Well, he's a good. Yeah, they got rid of.
He's
Alex
not
Carey
there
and
in
Josh
any
Phillips.
IPL team as well, right, Norman? Josh Ingles?
No, I don't think so. But they reckon the Western Australian camp are saying that Josh Inglis is the next Test keeper. They got such a high rap on him.
When Kane goes.
So the Australian squad looks a lot better.
But apart from that, it's the same team.
Yeah. Your daughter said, "So your daughter's sick and say hello. Tell her to say hello."
Yeah. Say hello.
Hello. How are you?
I know.
You're famous. Hello. You're famous. You're big on television now.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Huh?
You're a great dancer.
How are you?
I'm very good.
Good dancer. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
No cutting the call. No cutting the call.
So how old is she? 3?
She will turn 4 in November.
Her command of English is fantastic.
And when she was growing up, do you know which cricketer she saw the most? Just in the TV. She didn't know who she was. But whenever he came, she would just see it. Guess who?
Not Warner.
Steve Smith. Steve Smith.
Well, fair enough. I think that's okay. I can accept that. So Priyanshu Singer, why is Lords called the home of cricket? Because it's the home of cricket. That's where cricket started. What are you talking about?
But
Okay.
technically, Norman, if you have to look at history, Melbourne should be called as the home of cricket because the first test
Why?
was played at Melbourne.
Yeah, but the creation of cricket came from England. You can't ever say anything else than that. We didn't
Yeah.
create it. We
The
were just
first ODI was played in Melbourne. The first ODI
Yeah,
was
but that's
played in Melbourne.
but without England, we wouldn't have cricket anywhere in the world. Come on.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah,
True.
the Australian squad. I mean, but the England squad, Dawood Milan, I think that was a good selection. He'll go straight in the first drop. I'm pretty sure. 'Cause,
But
simply-
Norman, yet again, we had this debate in India for a long time.
yeah,
Does form of the player in the 100 or in a T20 thing or in an IPL, does it merit a test call-up? Because Malan's first-class average in the last couple of months has been under 25.
yeah. Have you actually seen him bat?
Do
though?
you
Hi,
judge
Baram.
the
What's his
100
name?
performance?
I
Baram,
did.
what's the F? Is the F mean something?
Hi, Baram.
That's my father's initial. Just doesn't
Okay,
mean.
okay. All right. Yeah.
I-
Look, I was just going to say, look, trust me, I have a good. I watched Dawood Milan bat in the Nets. I just have a good feeling about him. I really do. I think that he's got a bit of strength about him. So what? Okay, Christian Mohan's asking whereabouts Damien Martin. Any chance he can coach? Why would you put? Where did he come from? Why would he be the coach? The Indian coach has to be an Indian. We'll go,
I think Langer's been given the green signal, right? Mid 2022. Isn't it, Norman?
Yeah,
Mid
but-
2022, Langer will be the coach.
mid 2022. That's his contract. But you know what? If you read the statement carefully, all Nick Hockley says is he's done a pretty good job in the past. He didn't actually absolutely say that he's definitely. All I said that he's got a contract next year, and that's it. By saying that you've got a contract doesn't mean that necessarily they're going to offer that contract. I don't think it was that conclusive about him. And I'll tell you what, there's still a lot of dissension. The reality is, it's not going to be a very happy camp during the Ashes with him there. And I'm not knocking Justin Langer, but there's something not right. So anyway, we'll see what happens. But I can't see. Langer won't go beyond next June anyway, which is a pretty short-term goals of the World Cup and the Ashes, and that's it. So he's got, they're not really much else in the water.
Who's next in
So-
line? Not like let's say hypothetically, if Langer right now there's no Langer, who do you think will take over?
It's a good question. Well, they're kind of talking about Andrew McDonald, the Victorian. Andrew McDonald seems to be well liked. And I'm talking about team harmony, Baram. I'm talking about team harmony. And that's a major factor here. Okay. Andrew McDonald seems to be there placating the group while Langer's going off and doing whatever he's doing. Andrew McDonald's, if you look at the way they all go to Andrew McDonald for advice, he's got a pretty good reputation. He's coached Victoria. I think he's coached various other sides. He seems to have a good reputation. So it will either be Andrew McDonald or potentially Jason Gillespie. Now, Jason Gillespie has only, I can't hear you. Sid, you're on mute.
Yeah,
So-
but I'm saying, Norman, the options that you gave, Jason Gillespie would be a great choice. Look at the success he's had with Yorkshire. Turning
Oh,
them
no
around,
doubt.
turning their fortunes
He
around.
wants to coach Australia. He will coach Australia one day. He's got a level 4 coaching. Only a handful of people have got level 4 coaching. Most international cricket
And
coaches have got
only
level 3, or level 2, more 3. The level 4, there's only a very small handful that's got that, and Jason Gillespie is one of them, by the way. He is able to handle
Any
more
chance of
facets.
Trevor Bayliss?
Well, see, I would have Trevor Bayliss in a heartbeat. I'd have him in 2 seconds flat. I'd have him as the Australian coach. I think that would be the best selection. But you know what? There's a bit of a New South Wales backlash going on, and I think they're trying to wrench that away from the cricket. If you look at the chairman selectors, is in fact George Bailey, Tasmanian. The captain, Tasmanian. That's Tim Payne. The captain of the ODIs T20s at this point is a combination of Alex Carey, who's South Australian, and Aaron Finch, Victorian. And Justin Langer's WA. It's everyone else but New South Wales. That's political, I'm sure. I'm pretty sure it is. And I think that you'll find that Jason Gillespie will be the next coach, or Andrew McDonald. So Trevor Bayliss is a New South Welshman.
What about Ricky Ponting? Nowhere in the picture.
It's a bit early for him to be coach in Australia, I think. I don't think he's been a very good mentor. He's always a great assistant coach and assistant batting coach. He comes into play. I don't think at this point he'll be the Australian captain coach. I think it'll be Jason Gillespie or Andrew McDonald. And actually, right now, because Andrew McDonald's
Do you
is the
think
assistant
Norman?
coach. Yeah. Sid.
Norman, let's just do it. I mean, the old Australian way. I mean, they had multiple captains. Remember, in the early part of the 2000s, why don't you have multiple coaches on a long-term basis? Let Justin Langer be the test coach, Andrew McDonald be the T20 and the ODI coach. Because he's had such great success in T20 leagues all over the world, Andrew McDonald. Keep 2 permanent full-time head coaches. Something novel, something unique, the Australian way. Australians are all in it.
It's interesting, when you say that, it makes a lot of sense, because now players and captains are now going in the track of being only on one of the formats. You could be right. Andrew McDonald is very well liked by the squads. He's very well liked. So that puts him in a great situation. So Jason Gillespie is also very well liked. I'm sorry, Justin Langer is not very well liked. Without reading between the lines, Smith and Warner, and quite frankly, the New South Wales camp probably aren't that close to Justin Langer. Okay? What have we got here? Hang on. Got a message here. Okay, so you go off, and Sid had a problem with his connection.
Okay.
But yeah, look, I'm pretty much aware of the Australian makeup, and Jason Gillespie and Andrew McDonald are well liked. Ricky Ponting, maybe down the track, but Ricky Ponting likes to float in and out. I don't think he necessarily wants to take on the full job just yet, to be honest.
How does the process of coach selection happen in Australia? Maybe you can share some insights.
That's a great question. I mean, obviously, previously they had Pat Howard as the high performance, whatever but he's gone because he was a waste of space. He had the wrong. He created arrogance in the whole lot of them, so he won't be returning. So there was that so-called selection of the CEO, the chairman, high performance person, like Simon Willis, who joins that show, was a part of the panel for Sri Lanka, for example, that would actually select coaches. So it's the board, the so-called Cricket Australia board, both CEO, chairman, and this high performance role that takes on that responsibility, and probably with the anointing of the captain of the team as well, depending on the order. So, and it should always be someone who's been in the mix, who already knows the team. I think Australia is not known to take non-Australian coaches. I mean, they tried Nicky Arthur. That was a disaster. The Shane Watson, who was basically dominating at that stage, basically got rid of him. and Michael Clark. They both didn't like him. In this case, at the moment, Steve Smith and Warner, and I'm feeling the New South Wales contingent. And so that's the problem. New South Wales have dominated selections for batting and bowling and coaches and everything for so long that I think the other states have deliberately tried to wrench that away. And I think that's where George Bailey comes into play. And interesting how George Bailey, who was from Tasmania, has kept Matthew Wade in there. And I'm sorry, Matthew Wade's mood is a bit like a negative mood. I don't think he's well liked at all. I don't think he's a real pain in the butt. Well, I can gather he's very dominant in the wrong way. I don't think he's good. Alex
Did these
Carroll got
politics
what's on?
exist, Norman? Just one question. Did these politics exist? I mean, what you're talking about, no New South Welshman and all these mishmash, when Ricky Ponting was at the helm. Because when he was at the helm, I didn't see many Tasmanians break into the Australian team at that time. When he was captaining, when he was doing all this.
I don't necessarily. Well, in the playing ranks, Tasmania weren't that strong then, probably, except for Tim Payne. They weren't very strong. So maybe more simply that. But Australian selections, for example, Mitchell Marsh and Sean Marsh, were in the side even when they weren't playing well. Why? Because they're WA players. I'm sorry. There's always a token Queenslander, a huge number of New South Welshmen, occasional South Australian. New South Wales and Victoria were the two states that seemed to dominate for a long while. Of late, Tasmania, because of Tim Payne. And in fact, Tim Payne was also, I think, made captain, in my opinion, because he was a neutral of the New South Wales, Victoria, WA, South Australia sort of battles. He was kind of neutral. Tasmania is always seen as a bit neutral for some reason.
Yeah.
So that there's a lot. There's no doubt. New South Wales have always had that strength in what they've done. Plus,
But they had very good Tasmanian players. I mean, I remember Brett Jeeves, Brendan Drew. Hilfenhaus was the only one who broke out of that and played well in the national team. But I think
That's
Brett
true.
Jeeves was a big miss. I like this bowling style, Brett Jeeves. Then Faulkner came from that. I think that same group.
Yeah. I'm getting this, love. Get you trim your beard now without any excuses. You have equipment. But I got the equipment today and I don't know how to bloody work it. It got all hot before and I'm pressing buttons and I'm sorry, it's annoying me. Leave me alone. Okay. He said things. Amrish Singh's having a problem. He said things which were not worth repeating on this channel. That fired the entire team up. We're talking about Anderson there. Anderson's a fireball. And so is Ollie Robinson, actually, too. They're both. But I'll tell you what, India, hats off to them. I mean, who was it? Robert Crash Craddock. Have you heard of him?
Yep, Robert Craddock, yes. Very famous journalist.
He's a very famous Australian journalist. He couldn't stop singing the praises of India, I should say. He said it's the best team they've ever had. He was glowing about their thumping, their bullying attitude. They're not taking backward steps. It's right. They really gave it to England.
You know, something is there about Anderson. I mean, 2014, the Jadeja incident at Trent Bridge, it apparently backfired on India. Then the 2013 one, I'll give you a broken arm, Michael Clark. Everything revolves around Anderson. I mean, he doesn't seem like the guy who would really sledge opponents, but when he does, it really fires them up. He does something which fires them up incredibly.
Well, even George Bailey has a great moment where he and James Anderson went hammer and tongue with each other. Okay, okay. Have we seen the tweet of Nick Compton about Virat Kohli? I haven't seen it. Does anyone know what happened there?
I've also not seen it, but apparently it's about the behavior of Virat Kohli.
I think Virat Kohli's a champion myself. Priyanshi Singh won't let me go. If there is an inclusion of cricket in the Olympics, what format should it be? Well, it'll be a cricket format. It'll probably be T20, hybrid T20.
We don't know in 8 years what's going to happen. We really don't know. Could be T10. We don't know. Well,
we're going to see a taste of it next year in Birmingham for the women because they're having it included at the what do they call it? The
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth Games. Okay, I've answered your question. All right.
there's a comment by Amresh saying that Ashwin said that Anderson's complaint was that he was bowling bouncers at 80 miles per hour, whereas Bumrah was bowling at 90 miles per hour. So that's why I don't know. Did Ashwin actually say that? That was the complaint, but that's what the comment is.
The only thing that worries me a little bit was the fact that Bumrah bowled so many no balls in those overs, and there was a question whether he was deliberately just trying to bowl more and more deliveries at Anderson to really rile him up in that last session. Very cheeky decision, but I can't imagine they would do that because of the amount of concentration that's been given, or so much, what's the word for it? So much emphasis on cheating and match fixing. When you've got someone bowling that many no balls, imagine if match fixers got a hold of that. They would have made a squillion. If someone was said before the game, 5 no balls in that over or something, they would have put big bets on that. So that would what worries me is that inference that it may have been match fixing related, which it wasn't. But when a subcontinent bowler bowls a no ball, the world looks at that as a potential match fix. I'm sorry. If I was Ravi Shastri, I would say no one's ever to bowl no ball ever. Let's get all that out of the equation. Because that, I'm afraid,
I would disagree, Norman. See, I know it's a let's keep the match fixing angle and let's say if Bumrah did bowl it deliberately, but isn't that a tactic? Like that's also a tactic that you can do, and it's.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying it's if it's a tactic, all well and good. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is perceptions rule in cricket. Okay.
No, agree that perception. I completely agree on perception. But my question is, let's say he did it deliberately. How does the cricketing world look at it? Maybe Sid, you can also tell. Like, is it good or is it bad?
I think, see, the deliberate perception was built by the media, especially the British media. You have to look at that first. Now, would Bumrah have done it if there were free hits after every no ball in Test cricket? That's one. Then tactically, then it made no sense. But here, you had a tail ender, a genuine number 11, like Anderson. Sure, he's at an 81, he didn't get out for 47, but now his batting solidity is way past him. Rather than going after Joe Root, who was not looking like getting out, I would have taken as many opportunities as I want. Well, I could have even broken Anderson's arm. What Clark and the Aussies couldn't do, Bumrah could very well have done it. Imagine taking out the leader of the attack, but you're bowling bouncers. At that time in the 80s, the West Indies pacers would have bowled so many no balls. But the umpires either didn't spot it or didn't have the guts to do it. So it is all tactical. Go after the tail ender. I mean, India had already conceded a lead of 20. You didn't want it to extend, looking at previous instances of how India used to struggle to bowl the tail out. I would just go after him and then say, oh, so you think you can hang in? Well, play my 90 mile per hour bouncer. And Anderson's complaint, maybe Ashwin meant it in a jest or something, 80 miles per hour, 90. Anderson's 40, Bumrah's 27. A 10 mile, 15 mile difference will happen. If Anderson can't play a bouncer, then I think he shouldn't play Test cricket. Simple.
Let's not forget, and which hasn't really been talked about a lot, to be honest. Back in Australia, Pat Cummins broke Shami's arm with a lethal short ball.
Yeah,
and he was out for several months.
Yep.
That was
so many instances. Yeah.
You could argue that Cummins did it deliberately to get rid of Shami. You could argue that. Why couldn't you?
Yeah, for the sake of saying, like, for this case, you can say that. See,
I'll tell you one thing, Norman and Behram. You look at the old footage of Curtly Ambrose or Courtney Walsh bowling. They would bowl so many no balls at the very beginning or at the very end. Especially at the Australians, Norman, and especially against India. I remember Ambrose bowling a 15 ball over. Was that deliberate? I don't know. At that time, we just felt, okay, Ambrose is probably not getting the popping crease right. But he's Curtly Ambrose. He's not a wannabe bowler. He's one of the best West Indies bowlers we ever had.
See, I would take a little side of Anderson here because there was a continuous barrage of no balls, bouncers
Bouncers.
by Bumrah. There was a continuous barrage, one after one after. Maybe a ball one, and but here it was like continuous and basically, and he was also intending. Look, man, I'm not a. It means if by his facial expression, he was saying that, look, I'm a number 11, and what I
mean,
means.
that is. I mean,
Yeah, but
see,
now
Test
these
cricket
things are
challenges
also-
you. If Mitchell Stark, Norman, if Mitchell Stark or Mitchell Johnson for that matter, 2013, he bowled right here at number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Swan himself admitted, we feared for our lives. But it was psychologically devastating. You don't need the tail to give you irritating runs. The tail is there to be blasted out. You got your helmet on, you got your you got your arm pads, you got every chest guard, you got everything protected. Every batsman is protected. Why is this outrage on bouncers? I just don't get it.
I mean, Jeff
If I-
Thompson
oh.
forgot. Jeff Thompson, Dennis Lilly. Back in
Yeah.
the bodyline days, back to Bradman, it's been an age-old thing.
Even
It's not
Max
something new.
Walker, for that matter. I mean, apart from Lilly and Tomo, the other guy who made a difference was Max Walker with his wrong-footed action.
Yep, Garrett. I mean, it's look. I don't think there's any issue with it at all. And if there's no doubt about it. Kohli was squarely in the middle of a lot of incredible decisions. One of the best ones, and I still reckon this is pivotal, was sending India into the field for a couple of overs and then back off again and batting again. That was a masterstroke. You don't see many people actually do that. People think about that. But Kohli did it, and he absolutely stuffed England's openers up. There's no doubt their two ducks were contributed by the fact that they were in the field, off the field, in the field, off the. They mentally weren't ready for that innings, even though they knew it was coming. They had a whole lunch break to think about their batting performance. Had to go out in the field again, and then all of a sudden switch back on the batting. It was a masterstroke. It really was.
Yeah, but Norman Behram, I'll just tell you one stat which summed up the entire Lord's Test for me for England. Alistair Cook, 161 innings, 9 ducks. Sibley and Burns, in just a short while, 9 ducks.
Between
That
them.
shows how fragile, the England batting is. Take out Root and that's it. Your game is done.
Well,
It
simply
was like
gone.
how we had when Tendulkar was there. Get rid of Tendulkar, that's it. The game is won.
in every format, Test, ODI,
Yeah.
like this. We used to switch off the
England's-
TV. Tendulkar out early, we used to switch off the
Yep.
TV. Not forget
Yep.
watching the match. Go to do something else.
England's test team is a shambles. It's a total reversal of 2015 to 2012. What happened? England's test team were great, but their ODI and T20 team were ridiculous. Now it's reversed. England's test team is in shambles. And there's no one in that county circuit who can step up to the likes of the current crop of bowlers. I don't even forget Bumrah, forget Shamis, forget Siraj. I don't see these guys even playing out the likes of Pat Cummins, Mitchell Stark, and Josh Hazel on a flat Aussie deck. They can't do it. Simple.
But I mean, okay, we're going to talk about the Ashes series later on. There's so many other the IPLs and the
Yeah.
World Cups and even the England versus New Zealand. A lot of tournaments before we get to the Ashes. But one thing on the Ashes for sure, don't think that. I mean, okay, losing Stokes and say Jofra Archer and probably other players of that, and Mark Wood can't survive that series. England are short of some good players there for sure. But I tell you what, England get their act together when it comes to Ashes series in Australia these days. They steal quite strongly for that. The fear factor has gone a little bit for England as well, as it has for India. I think all teams will take. I even think Afghanistan will give Australia a bit of a run for their money in the Test match in Tasmania. We don't know. Australia's team, okay, they look a bit stronger on paper, but they haven't played together as a team for this T20 at all. At all. What they're not going to play? If they won't play any true matches as a team before the World Cup itself.
Yep.
They can't because they're in Australia now. There's no cricket going on. Unless they play park cricket, they're not going to have that opportunity. They're going to have to quarantine all over the joint. They're going to have no hope of getting there in time. They're assembling later this month, I think, for the first time properly. They're out. Look, and then the IPL guys are going off to the IPL, so there won't be a team either.
Yep.
Oh,
But I think the
Australia's not gonna go.
dynamics of the guys selected, I think they can easily adjust to the team culture. But I'll again say this: when have Australia dominated? When their batting has done well. The Ashes will hinge down on that. The World T20 will hinge down on that. If you don't bat well, you've got no chance. This is very much true for the Aussies. Very much true for them.
Yeah, but I've seen
And
Aussies.
remember, they're playing in alien surfaces. Veram, look at their performance in Bangladesh. Bangladesh, of all places. 120 to 62. That was the range. And they're playing in the UAE, where conditions will be a lot more tougher.
Well, it's not fast bowler friendly, the UAE, is it? What were you going to say, Baram?
About UAE. No, I wanted to say was that traditionally I've seen Australia really, like you said, England gets the act together in the Ashes. I've seen Australia gets the act together in ICC tournaments. So you are saying they might not qualify, but who knows? It might be a surprise. They might win it.
For the World T20, they've always struggled,
no.
Behram. I mean, barring 2007 and 2010 and
Mhm.
2012, they haven't done
T20
well
there's-
in. So it's a real surprise. I mean,
Australia's
said,
just not good
ICC
at
events
T20.
usually-
Australia are not good at T20. Let's be honest. We're not as strong at T20.
If you see the 2015 World Cup, honestly, I never thought that Australia would win that. I mean, their team was not so strong. But okay, it was played in Australia, but the team was like coming up to the World Cup, and it was not that Australia that we knew, like 2007, 2000. But they still ended up winning the 2015.
That was ODI, wasn't it?
ODI.
Yep. 2015 ODI World Cup.
Yeah, Australia was still very strong in ODIs.
New Zealand, Australia, New Zealand MCG final.
Yeah,
Horrible final. Horrible.
yeah. And Michael Clark.
Very
was the
one-sided.
winner.
Yeah.
Usually,
Zealand
Australia
can't
World
handle-
Cup finals have been one-sided. 1999, 2003.
Yeah.
2007
2007.
also, yeah, all one-sided
Except
finals.
1987, everything was one-sided.
You know what?
No, but I
This man
think
here
the
says old man answer all people's questions. I answer most questions. I can't ask every single question. It's physically impossible. What host can you tell me any show where every single question is answered? Impossible.
Many shows they don't even like. I know the Akashvani also, they don't even answer questions. People just
Yeah,
keep
they
on
don't.
asking questions where they don't answer even a single question.
Yeah.
Maybe what people are trying to say that when we are discussing the questions get left out. So maybe in between you can take couple and we can.
But which we're doing. I'm
Yeah.
doing it consistently. It's not
The
even an
questions
issue.
have to be sensible. That's the thing.
That's also, if you repeat it 50 times, I lose interest in the question. I'll tell you now. This Indian team takes in the crowd. They don't give an F, Munchie. Okay, fine. All right. Ashwin's Kuti show story is pretty good, but I watched the body language of Ashwin throughout that whole test match. He looked decidedly unhappy sitting on the sidelines. And he also knew he had to keep quiet because I'm not aware, at least I'm not convinced on how good the relation is between Ashwin and Kohli. I don't think it's good. It's professional. It's good on the field. But Ashwin, I actually think Ashwin would like to captain the side. I have this feeling. Is he like that?
I don't know, Captain.
He reveals see, with no access, it's very, very difficult to figure out what is the inner room things. I mean, there is a blueprint in place that Kohli has put. Maybe Ashwin doesn't fit into that. Jadeja is fitting into it. We just don't know. But
There's no
it
doubt.
can happen.
Ashwin
Yeah, but
would be
Norman-
happy about that. Come on.
Say template, not blueprint. Template.
Template, blueprint. But again, it can happen only in India. You keep a guy out who's got over 400 wickets. Test wickets. I mean, I find it very, very confounding. But I guess even the dearth of talent is so high that some tough
I
decisions have
would,
to be
I
taken.
would put it in this way that I would say India took time to realize that. So, like after the WTC thing, I think they realized that if the conditions are not friendly for spin, doesn't make to play even the best spinner in the world.
Well,
Imagine
that's
what
crucial.
happened. Yeah, like imagine what happened during the Ahmedabad test. The England team had pacers or they were just sitting playing cards. So that made no sense. It was
No,
so
but
funny. You must have seen the memes, like all the pacers are
yeah.
fast bowlers are sitting and playing cards while the game is going
No,
on.
but Behram, don't you think that Ashwin has evolved into such a bowler that it doesn't matter what are the conditions to him?
See, yes, as a spinner, he has evolved, even if it's, but he does not give that much. See, maybe like case of Jadeja, we saw he took 0 wickets. If Ashwin played, I would say maybe he would have taken 2 wickets, but not definite. But what we need from Ashwin is 5 to 6 wickets. And another problem also, what I've noticed when you play Ashwin, I think Norman also had said this point. He bowls a lot of overs from one end. So, and if nothing is happening, there is a lot of overs which are got wasted. Whereas if you see over here with the pacers, if you have 4 pacers, you bowl them 4 overs, 5 overs, there is a continuous changeover. In case of Ashwin, you have to give him a lot of overs to bowl, and in case nothing is happening, then like you will have runs going away and no wickets coming also.
Okay, just can I make a point about Ashwin? There's a dynamics problem with Ashwin, and despite the fact that he's a leading wicket taker as far as the spinner is concerned, they go to him a hell of a lot. And there's probably sometimes an over-reliance on Ashwin. When things are tough, give him the ball. He shores up one end. It's very good. It's worked many, many times, but it doesn't always work. And what you're doing is diluting from the other bowlers. They don't get as much of a chance. There's less reliance on other bowlers because Ashwin's given the ball pretty damn quickly. He's even given the ball to open the innings, especially on Indian conditions, for good reason. But what that does is it actually ruins the dynamics somewhat. And I really think that's part of why he's not in this team. Not that he's not a good player. He's the best bowler by a country mile. But being the best bowler doesn't make you a good bowler for the team. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Very
makes sense.
difficult, Norman.
Well, I mean, Anderson and Broad, David Graveney said, we'll see the best of Joe Root when Anderson and Broad are not playing. Why? Because Anderson and Broad are also so dominant because they've taken so many wickets for so long. Root can't express himself as a coach, as a captain, as much as he would like, because he's got dominant bowlers that dictate. Ashwin's a bit like that too, and I think that what that does if you look at the body language, go back and watch videos of Ashwin sitting there when Kohli's revving up the team. Ashwin's very circumspect, not wanting to get involved. You can see he wants to say something, but he's holding back. Okay, and he was always sitting separately downstairs, and he looked beside himself. He looked fidgety. You could see him saying, I want to be out there. You could sense that was going on with him. That's not a good dynamic. Even the very fact that he's got a YouTube channel of his own and no one else has tells me something. Okay? It's sending a signal. Don't you agree? Can you see my point? If you're a part of a team and everyone else hasn't got a YouTube channel, but he has and spends a lot of time on it while playing, I find that disturbing. Something's not right. I have a gut feeling that I think Kohli and Ashwin are not well suited for each other, despite both being champion players. It could also have been something about Rohit Sharma, but Rohit Sharma seems to have come back into line a bit more into the team framework with Rahane and Pujara's help, and it's working with Rahul as well. That's a great combination now. But I don't think Ashwin fits into that template, and I reckon Kohli's words tell you a lot. The template. If he's got a template which he thinks works, and Ashwin's not in that template, which he obviously hasn't been for the first 2 test matches, what does that tell you? I think there's a very clear sign. There's a very clear sign. It's about dynamics and dominance of a player over a group, despite being a 400-plus wicket taker, could actually cause more problems than it's worth sometimes. That's my thoughts. Sid, what do you think of that?
Very complicated situation, Norman. I mean, really.
I think too deep thought process you have then on.
Yeah, it's very deep. And without any concrete proof or anything, I wouldn't want to comment on this because
I'm commenting because that's what I see. I'm commenting because if you look at why, explain to me why we hear from Kohli after the first test about the template, right? And that whole concept. In the first two tests, Ashwin has not been in either side. Not because he's not a good enough player, that's not the point. But it's interesting how that combination of, and on England conditions, because in India, you would never leave Ashwin out. Okay? Clear.
Yep.
On a spinning deck, you leave Ashwin in. Clear. But when you have a wicket like Lords, or what will be the case in Leeds, and it's more fast bowler friendly, you may have to then look for that option to change, albeit very hard to do. That's my thoughts. And I think I watched the body language of that dressing room. Go back and have a look at the body language, and you tell me what you see. It says a lot. They don't realise that when they're in a dressing room scenario, even though they're in front of the dressing room, they're being seen by the world.
Yep. Maybe.
maybe.
Munchie is having a lot of discussion on the chat.
And he's running his own show on the sideline here.
Yeah. He is saying that they are not upset that Munchie is saying that they are not upset that of the shot of the bouncers, but they are upset of him bowling the no balls deliberately. That's not.
I can accept that.
But I would disagree. If that's a tactic a bowler can use, why not? Means is that something that prevents?
Well, you don't want it to get out of hand, though, do you? You don't want every single innings that they bowl 10 no balls to the tail end batsman. It starts to become a little bit much. I think the umpire has a right. If a bowler bowls, I'm going to just pick a number here, more than 3 or 4 no balls, he can actually tell the bowler, have a break. Does that make sense?
I think they have to include it first in the rules. But at the end of the day, cricket has become a very batsman-friendly game. Every rule that you see favors the batsman. The bouncer is one weapon that the bowler still has along with the Yorker. It's like saying, okay, if the guy bowls a flighted ball, don't hit a 6. Either you say that, okay, the rule is there for beamers. If you bowl a deliberate beamer, then boss, you have every right to be taken out of the attack. Yes, you're bowling dangerously, you're disrespecting the batsman, it's not done. But a bouncer, I mean, just because Anderson can't play the bouncer, he doesn't duck well, he doesn't get out of the line so well. Just because of that, you want to take away that bouncer thing and give it a number. I find it very unfair for a bowler because the pitches are anyway flat, barring England. All over the world, pitches are flat. The spinners get more grip. Bats are bigger. Outfields are smaller. Boundaries are smaller. What will the bowler do? It's better than you play with 11 batsmen. No bowlers. Make it a totally batsman.
I have a bowling machine over there.
Yeah, just have a bowling machine. Indeed. And if you have a spinner, get the Merliner. That'll give you a spinning bowling option.
All right. But, okay. I just think there has to be, if a bowler's bowling more than so many no balls and over, there's something going wrong there. It can't be just the bowler's bowling badly. He needs to, a bowler's not that dumb. They know how to adjust.
It should not be that Virendra Sehwag issue. That was completely different, means unacceptable. But bowling a no ball as a tactic, I think it should be open. Means you cannot say no on that.
But okay. But you can't bowl more than so many. There has to be a limit to how many can be bowled and over. Surely. Okay? I'd have to argue that, I mean, when a bowler bowls in a chucking, when they're deemed to be chucking, they're no-balled, aren't they? And they can be no-balled out of the game. So bowling a ball deliberately as a no-ball too is a sign of a technical problem. I actually can't.
In case of Bumrah, we are talking that was it a deliberate tactic? That's the whole.
Oh, I think it. Come on, he hasn't bowled like that before. I haven't seen him bowl that many no balls before.
If you ask me, I would say it was deliberate. It was he was trying to do.
It was 15 no balls. That was a crazy number.
14 no balls.
Oh, well, 15.
Just by
14.
one
4 or
bowler.
5,
Just by
4 or
one
5,
bowler.
4 or 5 in an over he was bowling, right? 4 or 5
Yep.
balls in an over.
Yep.
There's something wrong. That over was pretty much, a barrage towards one thing. Let's be honest. There was an intent there. Okay, well, that's happened now. They've got away with it. Look, I don't mind really anything India did was great. I think they won the test match. That was really what they needed to do.
Let's change the topic. I don't know if you heard Sid and Norman. Did you see Sachin Tendulkar's interview wherein he talks about the pull shot of Rohit Sharma?
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, Sachin is of the opinion that he should play it, but I find it very because Sachin is talking about his whole ODI T20. He's combined that shot has gotten so much runs. But when you look at only tests where easily a trap is being set and he's falling for a trap, wherein
but hang on.
he got out twice on that and scored, I think, twice.
But Baram, what did we talk about yesterday? Who scored the most runs for India this calendar year? Rohit Sharma.
Yeah.
Okay. He shouldn't be knocked. He scored the most test runs of any other batsman. Okay. He's only behind Root, who's about 600 ahead, but he's second. That's something you got to consider. He's been very consistent despite getting out perhaps with an odd pull shot or two. He's very consistent. He's still got 83 runs. He still is doing his job as an opener very successfully. Very successful.
But point is, when you can see that the opposition team has kept this trap for you, this is like the most simplest trap in cricket, where you have a bouncer and put 3 players in catching position for that catch. Still, if you go for it, and you have already gotten, now if you say he's already gotten twice and he just scored 2 sixes of that shot. So does it make sense moving ahead in the test for him to continue? If this happens again, it's going to be ridiculous. Like if this happens again, they're bouncing, they're putting 3 there, he's hitting and getting caught, means then it's going to be ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Your views said but this was Sachin's opinion, which I find I don't know, means you can't see Sachin is like the demigod for us. So what was he trying to say? I don't know.
I mean, you can't totally say that Tendulkar talk was rubbish. Obviously not. He's got more runs than any of us can ever dream about. He knows the art of batting. But 2 things I would say. Maybe for a certain period of time, maybe Tendulkar is like wanting Rohit to be like that 241 knock in Sydney where he didn't play a single cover drive.
Yeah, I was
show that discipline. That discipline. Maybe sometimes if a shot that used to be your strength, supposing you're in a middling slump, maybe you're getting 50s, but you're not converting 100s, and then later on you go down. Perhaps take one shot off your arsenal so that you don't fall into that trap. Then when you show that discipline, graft hard runs, and you get back into form, then go for it. Because the pull shot, Rohit is the best player of the pull shot in the Indian cricket team, along with Virat Kohli. There is no doubt about it. He's the best cross batter. I mean, if I did the cut shot, the pull shot, it's fetched him so many runs in ODIs and T20s. But yeah, as Behram said, the tests, the trap is set, the discipline is much more. Maybe for 1 or 2 innings, maybe for 2-3 tests. Don't play the pull shot, show that discipline. And then when you're in form, just blast the opposition out.
Yeah, look, I still have a lot of very, very high praise of Rohit Sharma's batting. He has been able to blunt a very good swing bowling attack in the first 2 tests with a great deal of consistency, along with Rahul, of course, as well. And I think he's really understood test batting as opposed to ODI and T20 batting. He really understands it now. Okay, he played a pull shot. Maybe he shouldn't have, but he still batted superbly to that point. And I think if he starts to control his pull shot, you may have a different batsman. But okay, I'd praise him more than be negative, as well as Rahul. They were both fantastic. I'm very impressed with both of them. And the only other question is Rishabh Pant. He again, I'm sure. What's his name? Tendulkar would say the same thing about what he's saying about Rohit Sharma with Punt. Maybe Punt could bat below Jadeja. That would be an interesting change. That could be an interesting changer. That could be an interesting thing to think of. My thoughts, because Jadeja's a very traditional sort of batsman, isn't he? And he can hit. But I think there's some worthiness having Jadeja one in front of him. That's my thoughts. But anyway, I think that either way, they've got a great side. It's a very, very capable side. And I'm predicting they're going to win a lot. They're going to be maybe. I think they're going to win the Oval, especially if Ashwin plays as well.
Yep.
This next test, the momentum's heavily in favour of India. I think they're going to win that as well because there's still England's batting line is still fragile. Hamid hasn't proven himself yet. Darwin Millard, if he comes in, will have to prove himself. And there's a question about Darwin Millard. That photograph was taken at the nursery ground within Lords. There's a set of indoor nets, and Darwin Millard was there with Nick Portas. Do you know who Nick Portas is? He's a he's a batting coach for South Africa and England. He's been very, very, very handy in a lot of the short form games. Great bloke, actually. It's funny because Nick Portas and I, we saw each other for the first time 2 years ago in the nets at Lords, right? He recognised me, I recognised him. We'd never met, but it was as if we'd known each other for years. And why? Because we're on Facebook together. We've been on Facebook for about 10 years. And we know each other because we see each other's lives. And it was as if we were old friends, but it was the first time we actually physically met. Intriguing, isn't it? Yep. He goes, hi, Norman Kochnick. And I go, hi, Nick Portas. We felt like we knew each other because we'd seen so much of each other on social media. And I think that's quite a different thing that's happening these days.
I wish I get that similar reaction whenever I go abroad.
There was also discussion at a lot of the English, like there was commentators were saying that for Joe Root, they were saying that he's the nicest captain in the whole world and they want him to be more aggressive like Kohli, because that will drive the team right now. So that was also a lot of discussion going on. I would agree, yes, he's the nicest captain, and
I think no one can beat Kane Williamson for niceness. I will just say.
No, he's the best. He's the best. But see, both Owen Morgan and Root are pretty humble guys, to be honest. They're pretty humble guys. Williamson's humble. Baba Azam's humble. Steve Smith.
All the Fab Four. I mean, I will never forget how Steve Smith, when he came in 2017, I had a very good time with Steve Smith. I mean, when I was then the Dharamshala test, he remembered me. And then when he came back for the ODI series 7 months later, I said, hey, I did see you. You were in Dharamshala, right? I said, wow, he remembers. I said, hi, yes, I was. I had covered the Indore and the Bangalore ODIs. So there you, and Steve had a polite smile. And that's why I said, yeah, he's not like the Nostra. We all thought he was arrogant, but no. He's very, very nice.
No. Well, Ellen lives up the road from me here. We find him at the cafes here all the time. When I was with Sachin Bajaj and myself with him, he'll call out across the road, he'll say hello from across the road. But I'm afraid he's hanging around Warner a lot. And Warner was actually pretty good years ago too, but he's changed so much. He's become very difficult. And I attribute a lot of that to his wife. I'm sorry. He seems to be a different man. Look, I find he's not. I know because I've known him for a long time.
I think Warner's demeanor changed after that Durban test, when I think he got into that altercation with De Kock, and when the fans mocked Candice with Sonny Bill Williams. I think that changed everything for Warner, because what the South African fans did in Port Elizabeth was despicable. I mean, you cannot bring out anybody's unfortunate personal thing out on the ground. It can hurt anybody psychologically and push him to the dark side. And the dark side happened the next test in Cape Town. That changed everything for Warner. I mean, that series was a nightmare because I couldn't see Steve, knowing how well I had interacted with him. I couldn't see him in that press conference. It was very sad.
Warner completely dominated him. Warner bullied Steve Smith. Didn't have any say. It was all what Warner wanted, and he took over. But Warner was getting support, don't you worry, from people there are players, more so even the coach. I think there was something not right. And also, look, even up to the top, to the CEO, there was this hubris, this arrogance. Their media manager, their CEO, Pat Howard, coach Lehman. I like Lehman, but Lehman and Smith were probably a little bit too standoffish, and Warner was allowed to just go out and bully. And he took Bancroft because Bancroft was the newbie, and used him as cannon fodder. But I can tell you, the New South Wales quartet of Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins, and Lyon were not happy. But look how many New South Welshmen. Well, Nathan Lyon's really South Australian, but it was originally from Canberra, so they're calling him New South Welshmen. Lyons, Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins, Warner, Smith, all from New South Wales. There's more than that.
6 out of 11.
There was more than that. I think Usman Khawaja was at that stage as well. He was a New South Welshman. And I think Curtis Patterson was in.
Khawaja, I thought, was Queensland. Sorry.
Now he is. Now he was. He had Warner play from kids' age in Sydney.
So, Norman, I know now where your Ashwin's having a YouTube channel comment came from. Khawaja also has a YouTube channel.
Well, Khawaja's, I mean, Steve Smith's got a YouTube channel too, by the way, and Pat Cummins has, which is Pat Cummins within he put 2 videos out. He had 100,000 subscribers. It went bananas. But they're all doing it. I mean,
whatever Pat does seems to go viral. Whatever he does. I mean, he was the first to give that donation to fight the second wave in India. He was the first, and everybody else followed suit. So Pat really knows how to make things viral. That's one good thing about him.
Actually, Pat's just humble. Pat is a dead set humble guy. He's a very nice guy. He's a very pleasant person, a gentle giant. He's a nice bloke. Actually, Mitchell Stark is too, by the way.
He bought a $9 million house that you showed us.
9.5 million. Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
And you know what? It's not even a freestanding house. It's actually semi-detached. It's like a terrace style.
I got shocked when I would never pay 9.5 for that kind of house.
Well, the street's amazing. The street's amazing. It's got a lovely tree line. It's very close to the beach. But it's the most expensive house is 4 or 5 million less than that price. He's paid probably 4 million too much.
Oh.
The costliest city in Australia is the one in Sydney Harbour, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to. It's called Bronte. I'm in Coogee. You got Sydney Harbour and the city all together. Then behind that is the SCG. You've got a Paddington End and a Randwick End. Randwick is right next to Coogee, which is right next to me, and Bronte's right next to Coogee. And Coogee and Bronte have both got beaches.
Is that where the club is? You said Randwick Petersham. That is the club, right?
Randwick is on Coogee Beach.
Okay, Randwick, no, there's a club also, right? Randwick Petersham.
Yeah. Randwick Petersham is actually Coogee Oval.
Oh, okay. Because that's where I think Warner and Smith played local club cricket there, right? In a 1-year ban.
Well, yeah, they did. Warner lives only around the block. Shane Watson doesn't live very far away. Mark Clark lives nearby. Now Steve Smith's floating around. Even George Bailey was found. He was almost exclusively here all summer. I thought he was living here, actually. But he's moved back to Tasmania. But yeah, they've all got. Michael Vaughan is a permanent fixture in Coogee. So is Akash Chopra when he's here. I every morning I brought Akash Chopra to the Test match. I picked him up. We had a juice and went off to the cricket. They're all near me. That's all.
That's what Norman 2022 World T20.
Well, there's the SCG, right? That's my SCG. Right behind it is Randwick, and right behind that's Coogee. They're all extremely close.
So your house must be 25 million.
Mine, no. When
He's traveled to 103 countries. I mean,
when I purchased my place back in 1985, 86, it's a long time ago. I paid $78,500 then.
Wow.
Which is not even a toilet now. Car's worth more.
I think you just bought your house at that time, and I think in '87 there was a housing crisis, right, in Australia. '87 economic crash.
Well, there was a
87.
interest
I'm not
rate. Interest
mistaken.
rates went up to 18%, whatever it was. It was ridiculously high. But yeah, but Sydney's always had prices just go in one direction. It's gone up. I mean, to buy
Because why
now,
I'll tell you why I remember '87, because that economic crisis that happened in Australia at that time, it stalled the WACA's redevelopment. They said now we can't do it, so let the WACA remain as it is. That's why they couldn't increase the capacity. When they tried increasing it, it became too expensive, and then they had to abandon it.
it's a real pity. That's such a magnificent ground, a great atmosphere on the river there, on the Swan River.
Fremantle.
Fremantle Doctor, the wind. Now this stupid dome,
Yep.
which is not all that far away. It's just across the other side. It's behind the casino. It's just a bloody dome. It's
Norman,
ugly ground.
sorry. Just one thing: is this true? Like the Fremantle Doctor wind is called the corpse wind, because in that area about several hundred years ago they used to burn corpses there, so it's also called the corpse wind. Is it true? The Fremantle Doctor.
If I'm being honest with you, I've never heard that term before.
Okay.
Never heard that term. Never heard. I've only ever known it as the Fremantle Doctor, and I've never heard of it anything to do with a corpse. That's something new to me. I don't know. Well, where did you read that?
I remember reading it in
State is planning to buy some real estate in Australia. So he's doing a lot of research.
My first aim, Behram, is to come to Australia to cover the World T20. To be at an Australian venue, it's been my dream for the past 29 years. I've been wanting to come to an Australian venue to cover cricket and meet the people there for the past 29 years. It's still not happened. I don't know. I just pray that it happens in 2022.
Maybe
Well,
Norman
so that I can just.
Norman can sponsor you for the visa or something.
Well, you go and talk to Buria, Akash, Debashis, Kuntal, Uttam. There's a whole Gautam. You ask any of those guys, they know what you're in my territory. It's my home. You're welcome anytime. You can.
I mean, my first thing would be to go to the SCG prostrate and then say, "Thank God I'm here." Go to the MCG prostrate and just say I'm there.
I've just won lotto. I got an email saying I won lotto. That's how much I won.
Wow.
So you saved your money on Airbnb. Said so you can share normally.
I'll have to.
Look, read that.
Wow, Lotto, you're a winner.
You ready? Ready for a city amount?
You're winning. You won $10. Wow.
Did you buy a ticket?
Yeah, but $10. The ticket was worth. I think I spent $24 on the bloody ticket, and I won $10. I lost. I didn't win.
How much is normal if I want to go attend the Boxing Day test in Melbourne? How much is the ticket if I have to get to the MC? Normal ticket.
Oh, it varies from very cheap to very expensive. It's a huge stadium. I mean, don't worry about that. If you want, I've got lots of members down there. We'll get in. Don't worry about that. But Melbourne's a very difficult place. It's got one of the most difficult memberships, other than the SCG, not the SCG. Sorry, the Lords membership, MCC membership, and MCG members are the hardest too. Because MCG is also an AFL ground, a football ground, and people want to be members for that reason during winter. Very hard to get. I think I'm still waiting 25 years, and I've already waited 15 years. I've given up. I'll be about 90 when I get it. I'll be, SCG member.
Manchi has a nice comment for you.
What? Schrodinger's lottery email until you open it. What?
Must be a different brand. Schrodinger's lottery.
I think Schrodinger's cat, if you know that.
Yeah, I can book a golf course one day for that. I don't think so. I've lost $14. I won $10, but I paid $24 to win 10. That's not a win.
So you owe us a beer. So you won something. We are lucky for you.
If you get a phone call after the lottery, then you know you're in for a big treat. I'm waiting for that phone call when they go, "Hi, Mr. Kochnik, this is Oz Lotto or whatever. Are you sitting? And I waited for him to say, "Are you sitting down?" Yes. You've won $80 squillion. I'll go nuts.
Well, Norman,
have-
the first thing you'll have to do is give me some so that I can travel the world. You're at 103 countries.
We'll have our when we have Zoom or StreamYard, we'll have live. Real live.
I mean, imagine suddenly we are in the middle of Machu Picchu. We are doing a live of, say, the Ashes. Why not?
What's this? Can I ask? What's this? This ISB racist? What is this person?
They are continuously spamming for the last 20 odd minutes.
But you, as I said to you, you ignore it. Glad,
Yeah.
but Bram got the joke. Okay, what is the Schrödinger cat? Oh, I get you. It's like I get it. I get it. Now I get it. Was the spelling before? I'm afraid, Munchie.
And
Well, I didn't know that such a breed of cat existed. Also, I just never knew.
No, it's a.
Have
it's
I
a-
caused a stir? I didn't say India's not a family. I mean, I'm not saying that. I just think that Ashwin and Kohli have got very strong personalities, and there's a dynamic issue. Nobody's bad. It's more to do with just the dynamics of a team. When you rely on one bowler too much, sometimes that dynamic can be skewed. That's what I was getting at. Not that they hate each other. I didn't mean that at all. All right, how are we going there, guys?
Norman, I'll take a leave. So I'll hit the bed.
Okay. All right, Baron. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Sid. Thank you, Norman. Take care. Bye bye.
Ciao, ciao,
Bye
ciao,
to Manchi
Thanks,
and
Farah.
everybody.
Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Do subscribe and like to Eyes on Cricket.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yep.
Ciao, ciao. Yeah, look.
I think you will be just about 400, 500 away from 20,000, right, Norman?
Yeah, I'm getting close. It's getting close. But there's been a few channels jump lately because it's always popular. But 20,000 is getting there. I think once you
It's
start to get
awesome.
past, I'm happy. But once you get past 20, it starts to build nicely. But I put, I've also produced 600 and how many videos have I put together? I put
1,000?
not quite. No, 600. This is the 674th video, 450 recorded, and this is the 224th live.
Wow.
And the first
Well,
was with
if we are together in the World T20, then we can definitely cross 100
for
in
sure.
the whole tournament.
So you're going.
We have anyway
you're going
taken-
to the World Cup.
Fingers crossed. I hope.
Well, I've been talking with
Because I've
Kuntal-
taken the first step. I've gotten both the vaccinations done.
Yeah, well, I've got mine tomorrow, like I said, or today, in fact. So what was I going to say? Yeah, so
You're speaking with Kuntal.
Gloria's going to be there. Kuntal's going to be there. Debash is going to be there. I'm hoping to be there. You will be there. It'll be great. We'll do some live stuff all together. We'll get in our hotel
Yep,
rooms
yep,
late
yep.
at night. We'll carry on like
But the accreditation hasn't come yet. I don't think so, right? The ICC
No,
accreditation
it
hasn't come
hasn't
yet.
opened up yet. No.
Yeah.
They're too busy doing other things, I think.
But whether we'll be allowed, that's what I have to figure out. I hope we do.
You mean because of COVID you're talking about?
Yeah, because of COVID.
Yeah, COVID's going to be probably an understandable issue. All that will mean is it'll mean this, you won't be able to go into the venues in immediate contention, but it doesn't stop you traveling to Dubai to cover it from outside, which doesn't sound like a very good thing, but I mean, it's part of the atmosphere to be there. I mean, obviously you'll get to see the matches, but why do you keep recording them? Why? Because I just do. It's just me. It's just me. I just like doing that. Why do anyone? I mean, everyone has their quirks. It's also good for me because I get a bit of a gauge where I'm at. I can keep record of where things are. It's probably more that than anything else. All right, we've gone 1 hour 39 minutes. In conclusion today, I did want to talk about Dravid, and we talked about his being in the National Cricket Academy. He's applying for that. But who do we want to be? Who do you seriously think will be the next coach of India? Who's in contention? Because they're not asked. They're not asked. They've got to apply, don't they? They're not simply asked.
The first thing is they will apply. The Cricket Advisory Committee will then have a look, screen every candidate, and then they will make the final decision after a month. Because there'll be a
But
lot
who's
of
on the
candidates.
who decides? Will Ganguly have a say?
The Cricket Advisory Committee gives the suggestion to the BCCI president. The BCCI president, in consultation with the board and also the CAC, stamp the final authority that he will be the coach for a particular period of time. So this is a very, very difficult question. I mean, would you want to remove Shastri if he wins in England, and if he
No.
wins of ICC World T20 before his contract expires? Would you want to remove Shastri? Number one.
No.
Number two, the only candidate that I see very, very worthy to lead the side is Dravid. But does
Yeah.
Dravid have the time to be away from family and from other NCA things? Has he changed his mindset that, okay, I will now coach the national team? Because he's been very content in developing the grassroots. Dravid
Yeah,
is
okay.
one.
Just quickly, I want to quickly ask. I want to get this. Subham Garoli says, "Why no Swepson the leg spinner in the Australian squad?" He is. Swepson is in the. He is in the squad. What? Where is Swepson and Sampa? They're both in. Okay.
Yep.
Jemima Rodriguez has got a name. See, they're pretty capable. Tell you what, it's good to see Indian women getting a bit of a profile now.
Yes, yes.
So go on back to what you're talking about.
About time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Dravid, whether he continues coaching the grassroots, India A, under 19, because we've had all capable players from India under Dravid's leadership. Prithvi Shaw, Shubman Gill, the bowlers, Karthik Tyagi. You have look at how India's under 19 performance has been ever since Dravid has taken charge. It's been phenomenal. Do you want him to nurture the younger talent? We don't know. But I can't see any other candidate above Dravid in the horizon. I just can't. But if India win the World T20, I would say rethink on trying to not renew Shastri's contract. I think whatever it is, Kohli has a very good connect with him. He understands what Shastri can do, and he's giving him open space to do whatever he wants. You need
But
that
Ravi
tuning.
Shastri, we have to remember his discussions pre-match would be enormous.
I mean, look
Enormous.
at the discussions, that he had with the Indian team after the Gaba win.
Amazing.
That was phenomenal.
Amazing.
We always
I have a
knew
lot of
Ravi
time
had the gift of gab. We always knew that, but his man management skills have been phenomenal.
Enormous.
Yep.
He's extremely well. I mean, I have a lot of time for him. Whenever he was on commentary, he was magnificent then as well. You know.
Yep.
He was absolutely magnificent. It's
Yep.
funny.
So,
I mean, I think he's excellent. I think he's, to me, there's something really good about their combination. It's working and working really well.
Yep.
Why would you want to disturb that? Why would
Yes.
you want to disturb that? That's my
I don't
question.
think you can see a foreign candidate. I don't think so. They just will not fit in with the current Indian system at this point in time. Why? Because the current Indian system has got greater guidance and they're on par with the rest of the world now.
Exactly. I mean, to me, look, why when you're going to win? I mean, how long has Shastri been coached for now?
It's like this. He was there when Duncan Fletcher left. So he coached for a particular period of time. Then Kumble came over. After the departure of Kumble from the ICC ICC Champions Trophy, since then Shastri has been in charge. That
Right.
was in 2017.
Right.
4 years.
I mean, to me, look, it is true. Sometimes a coach goes too long, okay, and they start to overdo things or lose control of the room. But when a coach is getting, I would argue, better and better and having this format that's there, that's really working well, then why would you change that? That's what I'm saying. Because Justin Langer's time's up. I think he'll barely make next year. He probably should go now, but he'll barely make next year. That's a horrible state to be in. That's a horrible feeling that that the actual CA had to come out and defend him. It's not a good thing. And when I remember there was an experience I had with Langer this season, a few experiences, because COVID was on. There weren't many people around. He was leaving the SCG one day, and I was literally the only person there, right, outside. And I was filming him. He was very cranky looking. He looked at me with a great deal of anger over what was I filming. And I thought to myself, that's strange, considering that's what we do. It's not like it was alarming. It wasn't in their face. They were leaving the ground. They're outside. They're outside the ground. They were the public domain. They were there to be. I was nowhere near it. But I just noticed there was a certain amount of crankiness about him, which, if that's what he's like around the team, I don't think everybody would like that. And I keep going back to the fact.
Plus, I think Australia's struggling to adapt to that new culture. You remember, after the 2018 ball tampering thing, there was a change of culture, change of behavior.
But
have they really adjusted to it? I think they have not adjusted to it. That's the problem.
But
I mean,
clearly,
it's like saying 20, 30 years of what has served you well, suddenly overnight you have to do it. It's not easy. It's really not easy.
But the public platform where Steve Smith came out and pledged to be captain after his Ben Horn interview, and had two young kids there and pledged to be captain again and wanting the public's favour, and then Langer goes, what? Who's captain? It's Tim Payne. What's Steve Smith got to do with it? With this element of not anger but sort of disdain, show that there was clearly not there can't be a good relationship between the coach and Steve Smith if that's what he did on both sides.
I forget, Norman, after Lehman, who took over the coaching duties for Australia after Lehman?
Temporarily it was someone else. It may have been Andrew McDonald, I think. I can't remember now. It was someone in the assistant role that came in for a short term, but eventually Lehman left and Langer was appointed. But I think it was Andrew McDonald. Andrew McDonald's been around for a while now in the Australian selection. He's
assistant coach, right?
Sorry, Victoria.
Assistant coach.
Assistant coach. Yeah, I think he's the batting coach, but he's more of a mentor now. He spends a lot of time with the players. They tend to go for him for discussions. He's a bit of he's a very good man manager. He's coached Victoria. Yeah, he's well liked by all people. He's a very intelligent guy too. Probably an ideal coach, to be honest.
There's a wicked smile, Norman, in me. What about Shane Warne
as a coach?
As your next coach?
Oh, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah. The greatest captain Australia never had, but maybe the greatest coach.
Yeah, but he certainly did muck up a lot too. So I'm not saying he wouldn't be a good coach. But I tell you what, they can pay him a lot of money because he's making a lot of money from his gin and he's this and he's that. He really has to squeeze it all in. And he's nightclubs and he's this and he's that. And he goes to England a lot. He loves the party. Whether he can dedicate himself to be a coach full time, he tends to come in and coach for a while or help. Like he's often helping the Pakistan bowler. What's his name? Yasir Shah. And he helped Rashid, and he helped this bloke, and he helped that bloke. He's all over the place with people helping people. I actually think Adam Holyoake wouldn't be a bad coach because he's part Australian. He's not just English.
Yep. He is.
Well, he's the batting coach for Queensland. They won the Shield. But look, I think it'd be great to have Steve Smith. But see, people like Warne, and even Ponting, they don't seem to really want to take on the job full time. They like to come in and help, but not take ownership. What about Mahela Jayawardene? Not to coach Australia. That won't happen. He should be coaching Sri Lanka, to be honest.
A foreigner coaching. Has it ever happened? A foreigner coaching Australia?
Mickey Arthur.
Apart from Arthur, but Arthur's part Australian, right? Because he stays in Australia.
Well, he's South African. He's South African.
Yeah.
Well, Dave Watmore was
No one
Australian,
else.
but he had Sri Lankan background. But he never
Yeah.
coached Australia. He never coached Australia. He coached Sri Lanka.
Even Steve
I'm-
Rickson is not Australian, right? He's a Kiwi. Steve Rickson.
Well, he played for Australia.
Oh yeah. Yep, he did.
No.
He did.
No, I can't think. They've got that Sri Lankan guy that was coach of New South Wales and was really well respected. What was his name? I've forgotten his name now. He was actually coach of New South Wales. A Sri Lankan coach of New South Wales. Pretty big deal, really, when you think about it.
Oh. See, I know that Sridhar and Sriram is your spin bowling consultant in the Australian
I
team.
think-
Sriram, S. Sriram.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's done a good job, to be honest. If I'm being honest.
But yeah, no foreigner has coached. If you have to look at it, England, I may add, but England has got a mishmash of players. I mean, you look at New Zealand, you look at Australia. No foreigner has coached them. No, it's all from within.
I don't know whether that was a deliberate ploy. I think we've had a great deal of coaches that are there within Australia. I think,
Yep.
and if I'm being really honest with you, I do think the coach of a country should be from the country. If I'm being honest,
Yes.
the only country where they've gone hell bent to do that otherwise is Sri Lanka. They've had everybody coach them, from John
I know.
Dyson to Trevor Bayliss to Stuart Law to Tom Moody to God knows who else. They had everybody there.
But Sri Lanka were made good only because of Australia's man management. You can't deny that. Tom
Yeah, it
Moody,
was-
Dav Watmore, especially Dav Watmore.
Well, Watmore was absolutely fantastic. Mind you, he's also Sri Lankan, part Sri Lankan.
Yeah, part Sri Lanka. Born in Sri Lanka, right?
I believe so.
Australian, but born in Sri Lanka.
See, Dave Watmore would be a good Australian coach, to be honest. But no, I think the one that you mentioned earlier, which I think would be the best coach, would be Trevor Bayliss. But that, because of the New South Wales centric nature of that coaching selection, they're probably not going to be too keen to do that, because he may then be a peer. He wouldn't do it, but there's a perception he might favour New South Wales players. But my God, we've got a lot of them in that side, I tell you.
Yep.
All right. We might
Moody was
go
Western
close.
Australia, right? Moody, West Australia, Tom Moody.
Yeah. Just Langers, WA. I mean, the joke is that there was a bit of a joke saying that Sean and Mitchell Marsh would captain and vice captain Australia if Justin Langer was the coach. That was cheeky. He actually Justin Langer, Usman Khadir, who was in Australia, who wasn't playing any, was playing park cricket, was dragged into the Western Australian lineup by Justin Langer.
Abdul Qadir's son, right? Usman
Exactly.
Qadir.
Now he's playing
Oh,
Pakistan.
yeah.
Now he's playing
Yeah,
Pakistan.
yeah. Yep,
He,
yep,
he
yep.
was that close to playing for Australia. In fact, I think he played Australia A, or an invitational Australian side. He played for Western Australia. He played for the Bush Rangers. He played a lot of. He was really on his way to. He could have played for Australia.
What happened to Fawad Ahmed? What happened to him?
Good cry. He was floating around the IPL circus, wasn't he, or the league circuits? He went very
Yeah.
close, but he never got to play a Test match.
Yeah, sad, very sad.
He was 13th man, 12th man, all the time, but never got a Guernsey, which is a bit sad. Where is Andrew? Andrew Simons is fishing. He loves fishing. I've spoken to his manager, which I think is his partner, and she is very hard to get. He's very hard to pin down to be on anything. He's always fishing.
It's
He,
fishing that
Matthew,
ended his career.
Yeah, he was such a talent, and we didn't see the best of him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Drinking
Real
and
quick.
fishing. That was a real problem.
It certainly was. All right, we might call it quits there. Thank you, Sid. That was wonderful again to have you on. We'll try and work out
Thank
what
you,
we're going to do
Norman.
next class. I mean, the next test is still a good 4 or 5 days away,
Yeah.
but it'll rev up, don't worry.
India now have momentum. I just hope they don't repeat a 2014, please. We don't need a 2014 all over again.
I
Same
don't think so.
situation. Trent Bridge drawn, Lords won, but they lost the next 3. Inexplicably, they lost.
I don't think that's going to happen. I really do. I think this time
Once
India's
bitten,
momentum-
twice shy.
Yeah, I think this team's a better team.
Yep.
It's all settled.
Yep. India will beat England 4-0 Ooh, very optimistic. I would settle for a
Jackson.
2-0 or a 3-0 any day. 2-0 or
Well,
3-0.
if they get to 2-0, they could easily go to 4-0.
Yep,
Couldn't it?
they might. They might.
It's a real pity they didn't win at Trent Bridge. That would have been magnificent.
Yep. It must be 3, right, Norman? In Sydney, 3-10.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
But I'm sleeping. I've adjusted to the time because I've slept a fair bit of the day as well. Anyway, I better get going. All right, Sid or Siddharth, I'll see you again the next few days. Thank you as
Yep.
always. Everyone, welcome.
Anytime,
Thank you.
Norman.
Thanks, Sid, for his great. Oh, yeah, we'll see you. But your prediction. You might as well say
My
prediction.
prediction. India's got momentum. They'll win Leeds. They have a good record at the venue. It's hard for them to not go 2-0 up. It's very hard now. Momentum, form, it's with India. They should go 2-0 up.
Do you think they'll go 3-1 in the end?
Not hard to discount. Not hard
No.
to discount. They can.
All right, Sid, you take care. We'll talk to each other very soon. All right?
You too, Norman.
Ciao.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, Malik, I am a joker. I muck around all the time. All right, guys. You got Dinesh Karal, Team India #1. So it's got 4 tickets for 4th test. Can't wait. You're in England, eh? Agar prediction going, okay. Livingston play and drive and Reliant score hundreds. Yeah, I think they will. So, Norman, sir, please come to my country. Go, Jay, if that's India, I'm going to be coming one day, don't worry. But the UAE might be the first target if everything goes to plan. All right, guys. Do me the favor and make sure you view, like, and share my post. Subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Anyone here is not subscribed, please subscribe. It would be nice to see evidence of the subscriptions going up based on who's watching. It's an acknowledgement of what we're doing. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time. So view, like, and share. When will I go to the UAE? Well, not for the IPL, but for the World Cup. So we'll talk to each other tomorrow. This is Norman Kochnick here for Eyes on Cricket. You can see on the hat there. At Norm Koch is my Instagram and Twitter handle. YouTube channel, Eyes on Cricket. Please subscribe and hit the notification button. And alternatively, also I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. Tell us a joke. A joke is my beer. That's a real joke. Can I balance the cricket bat on one finger? What do you mean? All right, guys. You take care. We'll see each other very soon. Probably tomorrow. Misbah al-Haq is a great player, great coach. Okay. I think a lot of them all have been really, Pakistan's got some great statesmen. Let's be honest. Just going to have a look at the situation here. But view, like, and share the post. Hit subscribe, notification button. Also, share on WhatsApp, on your Facebook Messenger, on your email services. Share it there as well. So, all of this, guys. We'll talk to you. Who will win the T20 World Cup? India, England will be involved with West Indies and either Pakistan, New Zealand. They're the 4. India might come through on top. Who should replace Moeen Ali? No one, because he's in the squad. So I'm a very big fan of yours. Thank you very much. Go on live. I will. All right, guys. See you soon. Ciao.